So I'm in the wilds of Lanark. You can see the rest of Cornwall in behind me. You can see Falmouth right in the background over there somewhere. There's actually the St Day dump over that kind of direction, which is a bit shit. But this is the only location I could find that was A, quiet, B, didn't have loads of shrubbery everywhere, and C, didn't have fuck tons of bugs, because it's stupidly hot out here and there's tons of flies and bees and dragonflies and all sorts of fucking shit getting up in my grills. I've got sunglasses on because the sun's up there and it's beaming down. I also have a brand new t-shirt which I got today from QWERTY, which is effing amazing. I do quite like it quite a bit. It says, "One day I'll take over the planet," and I don't know who the artist is. I might see if I can try and dig it out and put it in the description below. So I don't actually have a brew because it is boiling hot. The only thing I do have is I have water, bottled water, because it's stupidly hot. I think it's probably about 22 degrees here, which for the UK is quite hot, but for the rest of the world is pathetic. I mean, I know especially like California is probably about 30, 40 degrees maybe. Texas is probably quite stupidly hot, probably 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but I'm not going to worry about that. This is, you know, this is nice for Cornwall, nice for the UK, so I'm not going to complain too much, which is why I'm out here. Hopefully nobody comes along and thinks I'm a bit weird, but I don't really care too much about that. I went to Hyde Park and everyone was too fussed, so yeah, they might be a bit fussed around here, but I've got thousands of subscribers, so that's really great. That's a bit arrogant of me to say, actually. So in terms of news, there's not very much to go through, but I'm going to mention a few things anyway. So Titanfall is free for 2 days, 48 hours. You can get it on Origin at the moment. It is completely free. You get the full game for 48 hours. There's no restrictions apart from the time limit. Amazon released their Amazon Fire phone, which looks like a piece of shit. It's got some funky features like the fact you can kind of tilt it and you can look at special menus, but in reality, it's kind of a bit gimmicky. It's not something necessarily that I want to have as a phone. It's not going to be something I'm going to look out and buy. It's the same with the Amazon Fire tablet. It's not something I really want to go out and buy because it's not something I'm really into. You get things like the Nexus phones. I mean, Nexus phones exist and Nexus tablets exist, and you've got loads of other OEM devices that actually exist. And I don't know why you tie yourself into Amazon's infrastructure unless you have everything in Amazon anyway in terms of the App Store and things like that, and you use Kindle loads and you use all that kind of stuff, because the specs aren't that impressive, the OS isn't that impressive, and yeah, it's just generally not that great. Watch Dogs. Now I did record a Watch Dogs video, but it turned out to be shit because my PC can't quite run Watch Dogs well, and Fraps, obviously by the time you add Fraps onto it, it adds a load of overhead, and then when Vegas tried to encode it, it then fucked it up and it ruined the bitrate, and I don't quite know what happened. I've never really had a problem before with Frap stuff, so I've just ignored it because I just can't be fucked to bloody fanny around with it. So I left that, but Watch Dogs does have a lot of performance issues. My PC is quite low spec. Well, I say quite low spec. It's about 4 years old now. I bought it in my first year of uni, I think. It might be in my second year of uni. I bought it, and it's an AMD Phenom X4 955 Black Edition. I think it's running at 3.4 gigahertz. It's a quad core, but it's an old quad core. It's built like a brick shithouse though, so you can pretty much just chuck it in anything and it will work and it will be really great. My graphics card is a 7650, I think, and yeah, it's not that great. It's only got 8 gigs of RAM, and it's just not. It needs replacing. It needs to replace it with something else. It was going to be a mini ITX system for portability, but I can't then have things like a sound card and a graphics card and like 5 SSDs if I wanted to. So I'm going to get a full-size unit probably now in August, I suspect, because once I've now just bought MacBook Air, which you can see at the before this video, there'll be a MacBook Air video. Because I've just bought my MacBook Air now, I don't have enough time, enough money to actually go out and buy that. So yeah, Watch Dogs performance issue. I mean, it's been shit performance anyway. But one thing that's happened is someone on the Guru 3D forums has released a mod that basically allows you to run Watch Dogs like it was viewed, or like you saw it at E3 2012, which is when it was kind of bandied around then. It basically includes a load of extra bits and pieces in terms of graphics and in terms of lens flare and all these other bits and pieces in HDRness and a depth of field and loads of funky stuff, and it's really cool. And the mod isn't actually a proper mod in terms of like ice, so ice enhancer is for GTA 4. It's basically, it already exists in the game, it's just unlocking them through a basic config file. It's really easy to do. I've not played with it just yet because my version of Watch Dogs run pathetic. It's like 30 frames a second if I'm lucky, if the wind's in the right direction and it's not night time and it doesn't have loads of light particles going everywhere. So I've not actually installed it because I just can't be bothered with it. But Total Biscuit, which I hate, I think he's a twat, but his video is really good. The video he did on it was really good. I'm going to put a link in the description below to link to it. Say I don't like him, but actually the video he did was really good, so I'm going to link to that. And he was talking about the conspiracy theories behind why Ubisoft would basically bring the graphic performance down and bring everything down, so it was kind of a bit shit for the PC. It was kind of quite interesting. It's definitely worth looking at. There was a few, there's a Huffington Post article on it, there's a Crave Online post on it, there's loads of posts on it. I'll put all that in the link in the description below. Intel was forced to pay $1.4 billion as a fine for unfair sales tactics. So if you didn't know, back in 2009, Intel decided to pay OEMs and manufacturers of laptops, desktops, the likes of Dell, for instance, to use their processors over AMD's processors. So they'd give them like a rebate for using their processors over AMD processors to make it look, it made it look good for Intel in terms of sales figures, in terms of usability, in terms of how many people, in terms of market share and all that other kind of stuff. And the European court, well, a European court, I'm not too sure which one, has turned around to Intel and said, you can't do that. And they did stop to it in 2009 because the European court got wind of this and told them you can't do that, that's illegal. They then went through a load of legal proceedings, and now they've been tasked with a $1.4 billion US dollar fine, which is quite big. I think as a percentage, I think it's something like 5% of the company's assets, perhaps, or it might be 5% of their profits for the past 5 years or however long it was. And there's quite an interesting Engadget article. It doesn't go into too much detail, but there's like a paragraph of stuff that's quite interesting. I'll put in the description below. EA and 3 are going to soon change the way you make text and calls. So basically, you don't have to have a phone signal. All you have to have is Wi-Fi connectivity, and you can send a text or you can ring some up, which is great. We've needed this for effing ages. There's a quote from the Engadget article which states it, which says, mobile dead spots can be a right headache whether you get them at home, at work, a place you visit very often. Luckily, EE and 3 may soon be able to help. Earlier today, the two operators confirmed that they're going to let customers make high quality calls and send text messages even when there's only a Wi-Fi connection available. The good news is that if you're an EE customer, you won't notice a thing, even though the company is exercising its technological prowess silently in the background. So that's really good. So you don't have to enable anything, you don't have to do anything at all, which is really, really great. And they should have done this fucking ages ago. You know, this is like something they should have done really, like, yeah, they should have just done it ages ago. I'm not quite sure how they're going to do it, because that kind of does need a bit of port forwarding. Whether or not they're just going to kind of, I don't know, your phone's going to try and connect to something, I'm not too sure. But how you would do that with an Android and iPhone, I don't know, unless they're going to have it for new phones. So every new phone you buy from EE or 3 is going to have that enabled. I don't quite know how the technology is going to work, because I've not actually looked into it too much, which I probably should have. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's still baking hot out here. It is gorgeous weather. And say, check out my video before about MacBook Air. I want to say thank you for the support I've received for my It Gets Better video. Thank you ever so much for that. It's been really good, and it's probably one of the best videos I think I've ever done, because I just talk really naturally about what I think and what my experiences of it were, and it's really great, and I thank you for that. I really do, because I think it's really it was a really difficult, not necessarily a difficult video to do. I think it was a difficult video for me to do because I wasn't too sure what to say, but I've had loads of support for it, and it's been really, really great. And you are more than welcome to hit me up and ask me anything you've got, any burning questions, and I won't share it with anybody at all. It'll be completely in confidence, and I don't know how difficult it is. So I think that's pretty much it. So I'm going to leave you with probably a panning shot of where I actually am at the moment, and apart from that, I shall catch you in a later video.